Hi friends, I'm Sujit and welcome to my YouTube channel Mission Maths Studio. I hope all of you are safe at home and you are doing well with your family members and enjoying your studies as well. So if you didn't subscribe my YouTube channel Mission Maths Studio yet, so please go and subscribe here and don't forget to share with others too. Okay, I'm again here with another lecture for you. I'm here with another lecture for you students, and we are going to discuss today about some irrational numbers, their proving, okay, and revisiting dominating and non-dominating numbers, decimals, okay. So let's start. Root 2, prove that root 2 is irrational. Now how to prove that root 2, root 3, root 5, root 6, root 7, root 11, these numbers, how to prove these numbers irrational, okay. So let's see. Root 2 is irrational. Now how to prove this? So first we assume that root 2 is what? Let us consider root 2 is an rational number. Root 2 is a rational number. Look, so if root 2 is a rational number, so you know that every rational number can be written in the form of p by q. So we can write root 2 equals p by q, where q is not equals to 0 and p and q are co-prime. P and q are co-prime. Co-prime means they have only one common factor as 1, okay. So now we need to prove that root 2 is irrational. That means what? We need to prove that p and q are not co-prime. If we prove that p and q are not co-prime, that means p and q have more than one common factor except 1, okay. So if we prove that p and q are not co-prime, that means root 2 will be irrational numbers, okay, because for a rational number which can be written in the form of p by q, there's a condition that p and q must be co-prime numbers, okay. So only then they are rational. So if we prove that p and q are not co-prime, that means root 2 will be an irrational number. So let's start. So look, p by q equals to root 2. We can shift q here with root 2. Then we obtain what? Root 2q equals to p. Now, for deleting square root value, we can square both sides. So if you squaring both sides, then you obtain what? Just square here. Square of root 2q is 2 into q square equals to p square. Now let us consider this as equation number 1. Now you shift 2 towards right hand side, then you obtain q square equals p square by 2, which means p square is divisible by 2. Look, 2 is dividing p square. So since 2 divides p square here, therefore 2 divides p also, okay. Look, for example, if 2 divides 4 square, then 2 divides 4 also. Look, that way. So if 2 divides p square, that means 2 divides p also. So 2 is a factor of p. Therefore 2 is a factor of p, okay. Similarly, we can prove that 2 is also a factor of q, okay. Look how to prove. So if 2 is a factor of p, that means p is multiple of 2. So put p equals a multiple of 2. So we can put 2 equals p equals any number like 2c in equation number 1 here. So if you put there, then you obtain what? 2q square equals to p square. So p square is 2c square, and 2c square is what? 4c square equals 2q square. Now look, we can shift 4 here. Then we obtain 2q square upon 4. So we obtain c square equals to q square upon 2, which means what? Look here, q square equals to p square by 2 we obtained. So we said that we concluded that 2 divides p square and 2 divides p. Similarly, 2 divides q square. 2 divides q square now. Therefore, 2 divides q also. It means what? 2 is a factor of q also. Therefore, it's very clear that 2 is a common factor of p and q. So, when we conclude that 2 is a common factor of p and q, it means what? P and q are not co-prime. Hence, p and q are not co-prime. As I told you in the beginning, that if root 2 is rational, then we can write it in the form of p by q, and p and q are co-prime, which means p and q have only one common factor, 1. But we proved earlier that p and q are not co-prime because they have another common factor 2 other than 1. So it means what? It means our assumption was wrong. We assumed earlier that root 2 is a rational number. So our assumption is wrong and root 2 is an irrational number. Okay. So therefore our assumption is wrong and root 2 is an irrational number, hence proved. So in this lecture we discussed about how to prove root 2, root 3, root 5 and this type of numbers irrational. Okay, so this is the way you can prove a number irrational. Okay, in similar way you can do, where here we have proved root 2 is an irrational number. If you are asked to prove root 3 is an irrational number, so what to do? Just replace 2 everywhere by 3. If someone asks you to prove root 5 is an irrational number, then what to do? Just replace 2 by 5. Okay, so in the similar fashion you can prove any number irrational, right? Root 2, root 3, root 5, root 6, root 7, root 11 and so on. So I hope you got it. Okay, and please you practice other numbers also. I write here root 3, root 5, root 7, root 11. You please practice these questions in the similar fashion at home. Okay. Okay, so now what is next? How to prove other numbers irrational if these numbers are already given irrational. Like for example, suppose if I give you a question, this is very important question and frequently asked in 10th boards. Prove that 2 plus 3 root 5 is irrational. So how to prove this kind of questions? If given that root 5 is irrational, so it's very easy. Like previous question, we assume that 2 plus 3 root 5 is rational. Let 2 plus 3 root 5 is a rational number. Okay. It means what? We can write 2 plus root 3 root 5 equals p by q if this is rational and q is not equals to 0. Now what to do? You find separate value of root 5 here. Okay, how? We can shift other numbers on the right hand side. So we obtain this equals p by q minus 2. Now you shift 3 on the right hand side. Basically we try to find out value of root here in this type of questions always. 3 was in multiply, so you can write it in division. Now look, you simplify this. So when you simplify the bracket, then you obtain p minus 2q upon 3q. So look, what do we obtain here? P minus 2q upon 3q. This is again in the form of p by q, which means what? This is rational. So if this is rational, which means root 5 is also rational, it contradicts the fact. We know that root 5 is always irrational. Okay, but what we proved earlier, p minus 2q upon 3q, which is rational, and this value is equals to what? Root 5. So root 5 is rational. It means what? This contradicts the fact that root 5 is irrational. So it means our assumption is again wrong. Okay, 2 plus 3 root 5 is not rational, and 2 plus root 3 root 5 is what? Irrational only. Okay friends, so this way we can prove this kind of questions. Okay, you can try more questions from your textbook. There are so many questions. Okay, so please try them for expertise. Okay, now what is the next topic? Next is revisiting terminating and non-terminating decimals. Okay, terminating and non-terminating decimals. What are terminating decimals and non-terminating decimals? So if you are given a number in the form of p by q, then if it's terminating, if p by q is a terminating decimal, then I write here p by q is terminating decimal if here q is of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n, where m and n are non-negative integers. M and n are, or you can say, whole numbers. Okay, so if denominator q is of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n, only then a fraction is terminating. Okay, otherwise that would be non-terminating. Okay, what does it mean by q equals to 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n? And already mentioned that m and n are the whole numbers. Now suppose the smallest whole number is 0. So what happens if m is, so this is first, if m equals to 0, then what do you obtain? Then you obtain q equals 5 raised to the power n only. And if n equals to 0, then what will happen? Then q will be of the form 2 raised to the power m only. It means what? Prime factorization of the denominator q may be of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n, means maybe in the term of 2 and 5 only, or it may be in term of only 5, or maybe in term of only 2. That means if prime factorization of the denominator is of the form 2 or 5 or both, only then decimal expansion will be terminating. Okay, if any other factor is coming in the denominator after prime factorization and p by q is already in the simplest form, then it's always non-terminating. Okay, I'm giving you example also. So look, if we take an example of 3 by 50, now check whether 3 by 50 is terminating or not. So what to do first? First you check whether this fraction is in the simplest form or not. Okay, is it reducible or not? So if you check here, there is no common factor of 3 and 50. That means what? It means 3 upon 50 is already in simplest form. Now you factorize 50 here. So if you factorize 50, then you obtain 2 times 5 square. Okay, now look, the prime factorization of denominator is here in this form. Prime factorization of denominator contain only 2 and 5 as a prime factor. So this is terminating. It will be terminating. Okay. So this is its decimal expansion will be terminating. Now look, I am giving you another example. What I told you, if the prime factorization of denominator is only in this form or that, even then that would be a terminating decimal, giving you examples of them also. So let's do another example, second example of second type. Now suppose you are given 3 upon 25 only. Look, 3 upon 25 is already in the simplest form. You have to check every time whether the fraction is in the simplest form or not. Okay, otherwise may be mistake there. So 3 upon 25, this is already in the standard form. Factorize the denominator, then you obtain what? 3 by 5 square. What I told you in the second case, prime factorization of q may be only in term of 5 also. Okay, so that means basically I want to say, if the prime factorization of denominator is only in the term of 2 or 5 or both, that will be always a terminating decimal. Okay, no other factors are allowed except 2 and 5. So look, this satisfies the second condition. So this is also terminating. Now third example, for the third case, suppose you have this time 6 upon 24. Now look, is it in the simplest form? No, this is not in the simplest form. 6 and 24 are reducible. Okay, so first you reduce them. Suppose without simplification and you proceed ahead, you find a prime factorization of 24. Then what will be prime factorization of 24? Prime factorization of 24 contain 2 into 2 into 2 into 3. So now you have a prime factor 3 other than 2 and 5. Then you will say that this is not terminating. Okay, and you are wrong. Why? Because 6 upon 24 is not in the simplest form. So first you simplify. They are simple reducible by 1 by 4. Now you factorize the denominator. This is the right way. So if you factorize the denominator, then what do you obtain? You obtain 1 upon 2 square. This is the third case. Look, denominator may be of the form 2 raised to the power m only. So this is what? This is again terminating. Okay. So always check whether the fraction is in the simplest form or not, then proceed ahead. Okay, otherwise you will mistake for sure. Okay, so this was the example on the third case. So what happens if the prime factorization of denominator is not of the form? That means that will be non-terminating decimal. Giving you example on that also. Suppose you have a fraction five upon 24. Now look, is it in simplest form? Yes, this is already in simplest form. 5 by 24 is no more reducible. Okay, now you factorize 24, then you obtain what? If you factorize 24, then you obtain 2 cube into 3. Now look, here what is denominator? Is it in the form of this? No, since only 2 and 5 are the prime factors which are allowed for a fraction to be terminating. Okay, but here we have a fraction, we have a prime factor 3 other than 2 and 5. So this is always non-terminating. Okay, so this way we identify whether a fraction is terminating or non-terminating. So this is non-terminating. Okay, so I hope you got it. We did it some irrational numbers, how to prove them irrational, and revisiting of terminating and non-terminating decimals. Okay, one more questions we did earlier, how to decide a fraction is terminating or non-terminating. Okay, now another thing, how to decide number of digits in a terminating decimal. Okay, without long division. Okay, so look example, this is interesting. Uh, Suppose you are given a fraction 3 upon 25. Okay, now how to decide the number of digits after decimal in the decimal expansion without long division? There is one way. If you divide, you perform long division, that way you will come to know the number of digits after decimal in the decimal expansion of this. Okay, but that is too long. So there is another way to decide number of digits in its decimal expansion. Okay, so let's check how to do. First of all, you check if it is in the simplest form. Yeah, it is in the simplest form. So now what to do? Next is prime factorization of denominator. So I did prime factorization of 25 is 5 square. Okay, so already here denominator is in the form of 5 raised to the power n. Already I told you the denominator must be in the form of 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n, or in any one of them. Okay, so it is. So this is a terminating decimal, we can say, without long division. Okay, now the power of this, here power of 5 is 2. So 2 tells us that number of digits in its terminating decimal will be 2 only. That means there are only 2 digits in the decimal expansion of 3 upon 25. So you can say there are 2 digits in terminating decimal. Okay, now look another example, or I tell you how. So for this, as we discussed earlier, that denominator must be of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. right? Look here, this is 5 square, but for decimal expansion, for to find out number of digits, both the factors are must be there. Here look, 5 square is, but there is no factor, prime factor 2. Okay, so what to do? And their power must be same here to decide number of digits. Means I change here now, both the factors must be with equal exponents. So look, to decide number of digits in decimal expansion. So what to do now? Here this is 5 square. What I wrote there? Both the factors are compulsory with equal exponents, equal powers. So what to do? We can multiply the numerator and denominator with same power of prime factors 2. Then what happens? You obtain 3 times 4, and in the denominator you obtain 5 times 2 whole square, which means 12 upon 5 2s are 10, 10 square. 10 square means what? 100. So if you divide 12 by 100, then what do you obtain? 0.12. So it's very clear there are 2 digits in the terminating decimal. So this is the way I proved it here. Okay, but you can answer in no seconds, in just a second, how many digits are there in the terminating decimal expansion just by prime factorization of denominator. The higher power of the prime factors 2 and 5 tells us the number of digits in their decimal expansion. Here exponent was 2, power was 2. So already we decided at initial stage that there will be only 2 digits in its decimal expansion, and which is proved here. This is correct also. Now another example. Suppose you have 7 upon 250. Now look, this is already in the standard form, in the simplest form. So factorize the denominator. If you factorize the denominator, then you obtain 7 upon 2 times 5 raised to the power 3. Fine. Now look, it's already in the form of 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. There must be prime factors as 2 and 5 only. Now what is the highest power here? Highest power is 3 here. It's 2 raised to the power 1 and 5 raised to the power 3. So the highest degree always tells us the number of digits in its decimal expansion. That means what? There will be 3 digits in its decimal expansion. Fine, we got the answer. But how to show, how to perform this? So for that, what I told you earlier, their powers must be equal here. We have 2 raised to the power 1, but this is 5 raised to the power 3. There is difference between their exponents of 2. So how to make their exponents equal? For that, you multiply both the numerator and denominator by 2 square. If you do so, then you obtain 28 upon, look, 2 raised to the power 1 into 2 square is 2 cube. Now their exponents are equal. So this way we can make exponents equal. Now what is next? 28 upon 2 into 5 raised to the power 3. So you obtain this upon 10 raised to the power 3. 10 raised to the power 3 means 1000. So if you divide a number 28 by 1000, then what do you obtain? 0.028, and there are 3 digits after decimal. So already we decided it without any calculation there here that the highest degree is 3. So there will be 3 digits in its terminating decimal. Okay, So I hope these examples are sufficient to clear your concept, okay, related to revisiting of terminating and non-terminating decimals, okay. So please practice this kind of questions. Already so many questions are given in your textbook, so please don't waste your time and keep practice them. Okay, now I'm telling you some more questions. If you are given a number, then how to decide about the property of denominator. Suppose you are given a number 2.35 bar. So what would you say, what would you conclude about the fraction and its denominator? As this is a decimal number, you have learned a lot how to convert a decimal number into fraction in the form of p by q, but here fraction is not given. So without a fraction, what to say about that denominator by given number? So look, you have to decide first whether this is terminating or non-terminating. Some students say that this is recurring, this is repeating decimal, but you know very well that repeating decimals are also called terminating, okay. So we have to divide such kind of questions only in two category, whether it's terminating or non-terminating. No way to that is of no use to say this is repeating and all, okay. That is not necessary here. Just divide the question into two category, whether it is terminating or non-terminating. So what do you say? What is this? This is a terminating decimal, okay. So earlier we did a fraction is terminating if its denominator is of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. So we can say that here denominator must be of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. That's why the fraction is terminating here, okay. I hope you got it. Now another thing, suppose you are given a 1.25. Look, this is again terminating. So if you write it in the form of p by q as fraction, then again prime factorization of q will be for sure in this form. So it means we can say that the q is absolutely in the form of 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. So this is terminating, okay. Now another example, suppose you are given 3.10100100 and up to so on. So already we have discussed these topics in another lecture, and if you didn't watch those lectures from my YouTube channel, so please visit there and watch all those lectures to clear your concepts and for a quick revision also, okay. So what is this? This is clearly non-terminating, as here look, this is neither terminating non-repeating. So this is non-terminating because the digits continues up to so on till infinity, okay. So this is non-terminating, and we discussed earlier. It means what about its denominator? If we write this in the form of p by q, what about denominator? It means denominator q is not of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. Here q is not of the form 2 raised to the power m into 5 raised to the power n. That's why this is a non-terminating decimal, okay. So I hope I tried my best to clear your concepts regarding proving of irrational numbers and revisiting of terminating and non-terminating decimals. Okay guys, so uh, if you like my video, you liked my this lecture, then please don't forget to share with others, okay, and hit the like button for sure. Okay, we feel good if you do so. Okay, and see you again in the next lecture with very new topic. Till then, bye, take care, stay home, stay safe, keep your studies on. Okay, bye bye, take care.